right, here we are with the Therevox ET-5, and we're going to talk about the oscillators. Now, let's keep in mind that this instrument has two oscillators, both analog sounding, and with extensive range and waveform options. So let's hear them. Now, here's the interesting thing about this instrument as compared to perhaps some other instruments. These two bars, the intensity keys, activate the amp for each of the individual oscillators. So when you press the left one, which is number 1, you'll hear oscillator 1. And when you press the right one, you'll hear nothing. And why? Because I have this set to low, but let's put it on something so we can actually hear something. So, to hear both oscillators at once, you have to press both bars down. Of course, it's possible to sort of mess with that. I think there's a good chance that you can actually control both oscillators with one bar in the patching, but we will get to that. But for now, as we're just demonstrating the oscillator, I'm going to have to press individual bars to demonstrate individual oscillators. But one of the cool things about this is the fact that since you have different articulation of each oscillators, first of all, it means that you have a different amp for each oscillator, which is cool. And you can create a lot of interesting outcomes having independent amp control of each of the oscillators. For example, right now I have them set to different octaves. Let's make it a little more. So when you're playing, you can move between them. Which creates some very interesting outcomes, as I'm sure we will see. But I just wanted to be clear about the fact that each oscillator has their own amp that is articulated independently using these intensity keys. So let's go to oscillator 1, which right now we have set to a sine wave. I have it to the 64-foot length, which is the lowest frequency, which goes right out of the frequency response of these headphones and perhaps the rest of the system. I can't hear that. But if you want to do that thing that they do in movie trailers over and over and over again, where you have a big sine wave that just descends, you can do that with your Therevox ET-5, which I'm sure will make you immediately purchase one. But yeah, we have that sine wave that goes down that low. Then we have a 32-foot setting, which you'll notice at the lowest point is audible, at least on this system. A 16-foot setting, an 8-foot setting, 4-foot setting, and 2-foot. That, plus perhaps manipulating the tuning knob, could give you a slightly higher frequency, but I'm not going to do that because right now it's in tune. We'll talk about the tuning procedure at some other video point, but that's where we're at as far as the frequency range of the oscillator 1. Now let's have a listen to the different waveforms. We've heard the sine in full. Let's hear the triangle. As per you might expect, it's a little bit brighter than the sine wave. I'm not going to do the frequency range of all these, although it wouldn't be too bad to do the lowest and the highest. Let's hear it. And high. To give you kind of a sense of what it sounds like at both ends and in the middle. So here we have a rectified sine wave. As you can hear, there is like a sort of octave trick going on. It sounds like 2 octaves. Or it sounds like, two different octaves occurring simultaneously. But it also has kind of a timbre to it, unlike, or more of a timbre than the triangle, and obviously more than the sine. Okay, let's hear it way down low. And way up high. That is your rectified sine. Now, the sawtooth. Let's hear it down low, down to the individual clicks. And okay, that's our saw. Then we have a 50% square wave. Which is very nice. Let's hear it. And let me just point out that we haven't talked about patching yet, but if you look over here, there is a pulse width modulation possibility that we will explore that is only available when the oscillator is set to the 50% square wave. But yes, so there is pulse width modulation, but we'll get into that when we get into patching. Let's see, let's hear it down low. Up high. All right, and then we have, I think, is a 20% square wave or pulse at this point. Down low. Up high. So that is what amounts to the waveforms and octaves of Oscillator 1. Now, of course, we do also have Oscillator 2, and it is the same as Oscillator 1 with some minor differences. Well, some important differences. First of all, it only goes down to 32. So it doesn't have the 64-foot setting, so it doesn't get that as low. But it does have a low setting, which, let's see if we can get a, in your individual clicks. The low setting is so that Oscillator 2 can be used as an LFO. When it's in the low setting, then you can apply it to things like oscillator sync, or over here in your patch panel, you can use it to modulate the pitch of oscillator 1 or the filter or whatever. So your oscillator 2 can turn into a low frequency oscillator when you need it to. And also we have one other waveform over here, which is white noise. The coloring or the frequency content not affected by change in octave. It's just white noise. So if you want to use white noise, again, in a patching capacity, you have that possibility. Or if you just want to play wave sounds, you can totally do that. All right, so those are, oh, and I should say, you do have the ability to tune both of these oscillators to where they need to be for your purposes. And oscillator 2, this is important. I should definitely demonstrate this. Oscillator 2, if we're pushing them both down, they're at different, let's put them in the same range. Some nice phasing, chorusing going on there because they're slightly not perfectly in tune with each other, which is ideal for analog sound. And what happens when you have analog oscillators, of course, you can, I tuned this when I turned it on, so it's probably drifted a little bit. If you want to employ the, oh, I accidentally started the tuning functionality without knowing. Let's just tune it there. I'll talk about this at a different point. All right, now it's in tune, or it should be. Okay, so anyway, I went to the wrong place. So if you want, we can hear the slight beating against each other in interesting analog ways there. But if you want variance in frequency for oscillator 2, if you want to tune it to a different note, don't go to that. It's the devil's interval. And that one's out of tune enough to still be the devil's interval. So yeah, you can obviously set the frequency. This is not a fine tune, basically, is what it comes to be. Oscillator 2 tuning allows intervallic tuning. So yeah, obviously tuning is important if you want to have oscillator 2 at a different frequency than oscillator 1, and also for tuning them so that they're in tune with each other and in tune with frequencies as you know them, should that be your intent. All right, those are the oscillators on the Therevox ET-5.